Now let's talk a little bit about conditional formatting. The idea behind conditional formatting is pretty simple. You define a condition or criteria, then you apply some special formatting to the cells in your table whose values meet that condition. This functionality is ideal for enhancing your data with visual indicators, allowing you to immediately see which values are considered good and which values are considered bad, and also the variances in between. Let's spend the next few minutes exploring conditional formatting features and some of the ways you can implement them to enhance your reports. Excel's conditional formatting features can be found on the Home tab under Conditional Formatting, and if you select that, you'll see several options here. Now these are what's called built-in formatting rules. So let's talk a little bit about each one. The first set of rules is called Highlight Cells rules. Now you can think of these rules somewhat like conditional formatting templates. You don't have to build a conditional rule on your own or from scratch. You can simply use one of these rules. To use one of these rules, simply select your cells or your range of cells, Conditional Formatting, select Highlight Cells rules, and you've got several options here. The first one is greater than. If I click on this, it's going to apply a special format to a number specified here in this dialog box. And I can change this number here. I can say that I want to apply a special format to anything above 1000. And as you can see, the format dynamically changes based on the values in my range. So anything above 2500 gives me only 2 cells highlighted. And also in this dialog box, you can actually choose your formatting. Yellow fill, green fill, or you can go your own route and select custom format, and then apply some sort of formatting using the Format Cells dialog box. Close this out. And I'll hit cancel here. And that's basically how all of the rules here in this Highlight Cells rules work. If I select less than, I get a dialog box that automatically fills with a value, and as you can see, I get a live preview of what's going to be highlighted or formatted. And as I enter the values that I'm looking for, I get a live preview here on the left, which is very nice because I can actually see whether I'm on the right track or not. And again, I can do whatever formatting I'd like. Some of the other options are between, allowing me to format values that are between 2 numbers, equal to, allowing me to format a value that's equal to a certain number, text that contains, which basically allows me to format some values based on a text criteria I entered, date occurring, which allows me to format values based on a specific date, and of course the duplicate value selection, which allows me to highlight the duplicates in my data set. Now this is a pretty interesting one. I'll go through an example of this. In this market column, I've got store 1 through 20, and you'll notice here in line 15 and 16, store 2 and store 3 are duplicated. I'll go to Conditional Formatting, Highlight Cells Rules, and I want to highlight duplicate values. So when I select this, Excel will automatically evaluate my range and highlight the duplicates. This is a very nice feature, especially if you have a data set that has thousands of rows and you're just trying to find duplicates. I'll close this out, and let's talk about the next set of built-in conditional formatting rules. These are called the top/bottom rules. These particular rules allow you to apply conditional formatting based on averages and percentages. So as you can see here, I have top 10 items, top 10%, bottom 10 items, bottom 10%, above average, and below average. And the names kind of say it all, but let's go through a couple of examples. I'll select my range, conditional formatting, top-bottom rules. Let's say that I want the top 10% of the values here in this range. Top 10%, and as you can see here, I've got 2 values highlighted or formatted. Now, you may think, hey, why isn't it showing me 10 values? Well, it's not top 10, it's top 10%. So Excel evaluated this range and calculated what 2 values would make up top 10%, or at least close to the top 10%. And you'll notice here that I can change this pretty easily to something else. Top 25%. This is a fantastic and analytical tool. Let's try something else. Let's highlight all the values that are below average. There you go. That's it. In order to manually discover all of the values in your data set that are below average, especially if you have thousands of lines of data, it would take you at least 6 or 7 or 8 steps. Here, it takes you one click. Close that out. The next built-in conditional formatting group is the data bars. Now, data bars are interesting. This conditional formatting rule applies colored data bars to cells to visually indicate the values in a range relative to each other. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll select my range, conditional formatting, data bars, and I'll just select this one. And as you can see here, Excel applies many data bars next to each number to represent that number's value in relation to the other numbers. So you can see almost like a mini horizontal histogram representing the data. Next, we'll talk about color scales. Color scales is another built-in conditional formatting rule that allows you to do some real-time analysis with very little work at all. I'll select a range here. I'll click on conditional formatting, color scales, and there's 2 types of color scales that I can apply: a 2-color color scale or a 3-color color scale. The selection here that I'm selecting now is a 3-color color scale, green, yellow, red. I'll apply it, and here's what I've got. Each cell in my range has had a color applied to it based on its value relative to the other cells. So for example, I'm looking at a report that shows me products and regions, and I can see here that the most profitable products are products C and D, and the least profitable products are products A in the Midwest and product F in the West. This is the kind of on-the-spot analysis that you can do with conditional formatting. One last group, the icon set. The icon set allows you to apply icons to cells based on their values relative to each other. So for example, I'll select my range again, conditional formatting, icon sets, and I can choose any one of the sets shown here. I'll select the 3 sign set, and again the formatting condition has been applied to these cells based on their values relative to each other. So you'll see here the biggest numbers, 3388 and 3661, get a green circle. The numbers that represent the middle of the range get a yellow triangle, and then of course the numbers at the bottom get the red diamond. This is a very basic example, but it demonstrates the power of Excel's new conditional formatting rules.